Hello and welcome to day 3 of our Job Search Mastery mini series. Today is all about advanced interview and salary negotiation techniques that land you top job offers. If you are excited about today's session, I want you to type a 3 in the chat. Give us a 3 in the chat and be sure to tap the like button below this video and subscribe to this channel so that you are notified when we do these over-the-top trainings just like this. Now, here's the thing. You guys have access to day 1, day 2, and day 3, the replays, if you have not yet seen the entire Job Search Mastery series until Monday. So spend some time over the next couple days to catch up if you did not join us for the other couple of days. But again, type 3 into the chat if you are excited for today. My team is here, specifically Carrie. Tori couldn't be with us. She's a business owner and she is moving her shop. So she is not going to be in the chat with us, but Carrie is here. She's going to be answering most of your questions. We will also spend some time during today's session to also answer questions and then toward the end of the session. And then of course, we are going to do a fabulous Q&A session on Monday. So you'll definitely want to tune in for that Q&A session. So let me go ahead and pop up on the screen the slides. Well, let me say hello to you guys first. Robert, I love that green emoji that you've been posting every day because it catches my attention. That's awesome. Meadow Rose is here. Bob is here. So happy to have you. Ken, happy to have you. Tim, Jennifer, I love seeing your beautiful face here. Let's see. Marizi, Megs is here. Mark is here. Cleve is here. Matthew. Hello, you guys. So happy to have you. Again, if you have not yet let us know that you're here, type into the chat that you're here and let us know where you're joining from today. I'm going to jump right into the slides because I have so much content to share with you guys today. And by the way, these are going to be very actionable steps that you can take today or sometime this weekend to move the needle forward in your job search. That's the number one goal, right? Now, this is our 3-day live job search mastery mini series. We've already conducted day 1 and 2. If you have not yet seen those and you'd like to catch the replay, I have pinned a comment at the top of this chat box, and there's also the very first link in the description below this video where you can catch the replay. These replays will expire, remember, on Monday. So you'll definitely want to get in and catch up on everything that you need to or rewatch the content if you need to. Now, today is all about advanced interview techniques and salary negotiation strategies. On Monday, so on Monday and just a couple of days after the weekend, we are going to be doing a mini series recap. Plus, we are going to be doing resume and LinkedIn profile reviews. If you've not yet submitted your resume and LinkedIn profile for that, you can go to heatheraustin.online/review. That will allow you to enter your name, enter your email address, and get instructions on how to submit your resume and profile for the review. So you'll definitely want to do that and join us on Monday. Now, here's the other amazing thing. We have been doing giveaways this entire live session. So on Tuesday, we gave some Amazon gift cards away. Yesterday, we gave some Amazon gift cards. And in fact, let me actually congratulate the winners from yesterday. It was Lori Mann. She was one of our winners. And Kim Bantz, I think is how you pronounce your last name. So we are so excited that we were able to present all of these amazing winners with gift cards. And all they had to do was participate in the live chat. So Carrie, if you could keep your eye on the live chat and see who's playing hard and big with us today. And then we are going to pick one winner for a scholarship into our premium job search and career coaching program, World Class Career Academy. Now, we also have gift cards on Monday, so you'll want to join us for that session as well. And all you need to do again is participate in the live chat and you are entered in to win the gift card. Now, we are going to be making a very, very, very special offer toward the end of today's session about World Class Career Academy. We have some amazing bonuses. I have some amazing coupon codes, and you'll definitely want to stick around for that so that you can learn where to get all of the amazing stuff that we are sharing today, a deep dive version, right? Now, yesterday's challenge, I wanted you guys to revise your LinkedIn headline to make it more captivating and reflective of your professional brand. So did you do that? Type into the chat if you have done that and what your new LinkedIn headline is. So what does that LinkedIn headline look like? Now, yesterday, we talked all about how to write the irresistible resume, the cover letter, and the LinkedIn profile. Today, we are definitely focusing on interview strategies and salary negotiation tips to help you land top job offers. But before we get into all of the amazing content, I want to bring one of our Academy members, Scott, on, and I'm going to share a quick clip with you. He's going to share his experience in the Academy, and a lot of you are going to resonate with his story because I know a lot of you are in this same situation. So I'll see you on the other side of this clip. So tell me, before joining World Class Career Academy, frustration.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest frustration I had was I was applying for jobs and little response. I keep track of it. I still have it. I had applied for over 85 different positions. I got a handful of interviews here and there, but it wasn't what I would have expected from applying for that many positions, right? So I just feel like I wasn't getting attention. I don't know if it wasn't getting through their automated system that eliminates people or whatever it was, or maybe someone took a look at it and said, no, this isn't what we're looking for, but I just wasn't getting much attention for applying for that many jobs.
Like, what were some of the emotions or like the feelings that you had? I mean, it's understandable. There's a lot of frustration involved, especially as you mentioned 85 different positions. What were the emotions going on inside at that time?
It can definitely be difficult once you start getting up into those higher amounts of jobs you're applying for. You start having thoughts of like, maybe I'm not qualified for the positions that I'm wanting, right? I don't know if I can really am good enough to get the position I want. And so it could be a real drain on you emotionally, right? To be able to be putting out that much effort, but getting very little response. Not even a lot of them wouldn't even respond with saying, oh, we've looked at it, but no, thank you. You just hear nothing back, right? And that's the worst, not knowing anything about it.
And that's where you start wondering, what's wrong with me? Why are they not calling me back? You don't really know, especially if you're not getting feedback from the employer. What would you say, like, since completing the program? I know I got an email from you like a while back and you're like, Heather, oh my gosh. And you like gave me this amazing success story. I was like, oh, this is awesome. You mentioned that you had taken time off for like a month to just square everything away, like get the resume done, LinkedIn, cover letter, and that on your first day back to the job search, you applied for 3 jobs and ended up hearing back from all 3 of those. And then of course, accepting one of them. So tell me a little bit about that. Like what did that feel like? And what was that process like?
Yeah. Like you said, when I had signed up for your course, I'd stopped applying for jobs because it just wasn't working. Right. So I went through your course. And like you said, I did the resume, I did the cover letter, I did LinkedIn. I even went through your interview course, right? With like how to prepare for interviews and whatnot. And so when I started back up applying for them, I applied for 3 in that like first day, and I heard back from all of them within a few days, right? And I got interviews with them, and the third one of those 3 is the one that ended up getting a job with, because it takes a while to actually get the job, right? So I'd applied for a few more, and I continued to get more interviews. And so I'd been talking to my wife about it weeks later, saying that I was so happy because I'm like, finally, this is exactly what I wanted. I was actually getting attention. Yes, I did not get a job offer from every opportunity that I applied for, but at least they were paying attention to me, wanted to talk to me, wanted to find out, would this work for me and for the company, So it felt really good because I'm like, okay, finally, I feel like I am qualified. People do want to talk to me and know about my experience. So it was a big relief,
It's almost like you just needed the system and you needed the tools. And as soon as you could put that into practice, you started to get the result.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. What would you say was kind of the biggest piece for you or the one catalyst that really made the difference?
I would say, especially at that time, was the resume portion, because now I look at how my resume is formatted versus what it was. It looked, and I think this was part of the problem, it didn't look very professional and experienced versus what it does now. It looks very professional and experienced, right? I would say that's probably the biggest one, and I think that's what got me the most attention. Now, if I can say a second one, because there's like 2 sides to this story, is the LinkedIn side, because I'm now at a different position than what I was when I first went through this, and I didn't even go out looking for it. They came and found me, and I'm sure I know they found me through LinkedIn, right? Even that side of it got me another position that now is a director level level position, even something more
So
that I
awesome.
wanted with, more money, more responsibility. So it's been really
Yeah.
good. So I'd say those two areas are the two biggest ones for me.
I know you had mentioned that before you accepted the job with a startup in San Francisco, and you said that you received a 30% increase in pay. And then, so this is a new company, a
Yep.
cybersecurity company with another 30% increase in pay.
Exactly. So from the time I took your course to now, it's been 60% of a raise, right?
Wow.
Nearly double, because you 30% on top of a 30%,
Yeah.
right? So it's
Yes.
been really good.
Doesn't that feel good knowing that you now have the tools and the resources to find a new job if you needed to? I mean, hopefully you'll be at this cybersecurity company for a while, but it's almost like a safe place, right? That you
Yeah.
can say, I don't have to be worried. Like I know what I need to do if I need to go out and find work. But not only that, like find work you love and find work making more money and all the amazing things that come with it.
Yeah, yeah, I've thought about that multiple times, because now I'm not worried about it, like you said, because I know how to
Mhm.
format my resume, make it look good, so that people are like, yes, we want to talk to this person. Yeah, it might not work out with
Yes.
every position, but I don't have any concerns of getting that attention that I wasn't getting previously.
So, how would you say your life is different because of the academy or as a result of going through the program?
Yeah, my career has advanced a lot more in these last 2 years than they did probably the six years previous to that, right? So I've been in
Yeah,
marketing now for over 14 years, but I've seen probably the biggest growth in the first few years of my career, and these last few years, right? With the
I love
different
that
positions that I've had and the responsibilities that have put me on a different trajectory for my career. And so
for
it feels
sure.
really good, and I can see the growth that I can still get even
Hmm.
moving forward in my career. And I do believe it's really from being able to get the positions that I've had and the
Hmm.
added responsibilities that I'm currently fulfilling that will allow me to
Yes.
get more positions in the future.
Tell me, like, if you had a friend that was in the job search process, or maybe a friend that had just been laid off, or maybe they're just not happy in their current situation and they need a new job, what would you tell them about the academy?
Yeah, I would tell them, and I've talked to a few people about it. I don't know if they've signed up or not, because I haven't followed up with them. But I've told them, like you really need to do this, because especially like if you think about it today, there
Mhm.
are a bunch of layoffs going on in the tech sector and stuff like that predominantly. So there's going to be more competition in the market. But if you have a good program and a good system to fall back on that allows you
Mhm.
to be able to put your best foot forward, you're going to have a whole lot less competition, right? Because I've seen
Mhm.
people in their resumes that I'm just like, you really need to update this, right? And so I've
Yeah.
told multiple people about the program, saying, hey, go check her out. She has multiple courses you can get, or you can buy the whole
Mhm.
bundle or whatever it is. I
Mhm.
bought the whole bundle, and I'm very glad I did, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah,
Yeah.
I would definitely tell anyone who's looking for a job that you need to go through this course, because it really allows you to put that best foot forward and get the attention, like I've said, that you
Yeah.
probably deserve.
Okay, let's unpack Scott's story for just a second here. So he had mentioned that he had applied to 85 positions and was not hearing much back. Now, if you can relate to Scott, I want you to type yes in the chat. Type yes in the chat if you can relate to Scott's story. So he goes on to say that, hey, I decided to take time off from the job search. I'm going to take a little bit of time, dive into the information in the academy, learn as much as I can, put into practice everything I'm learning, and then go back out into the job search. On his first day back into the job search, he applied to 3 positions, just 3, not 80, but 3. And he landed an offer with his top company. And he said, I was finally getting the attention I deserved. Now, if you remember back to Daniela's story yesterday, where she said, I just needed someone to take a chance on me. She did the exact same thing, where she put into practice what she learned in the academy, jumped back into the job search, and notice how quickly for both of them, they both found success. Now, here's the crazy thing. I'm going to share Scott's update in just a second, because he just sent me a message with another update. I'm going to share that in a second. But he goes on to talk about how he was employed. While he's employed with this company, another company reaches out to him because of the work that he did on his LinkedIn profile and ends up hiring him. So not only after going through the academy did he only have to apply for 3 positions, he ended up increasing his salary by 30% with that first position. Another company found him on LinkedIn and he increased his salary again by 30%. And then let me show you what he just sent to me just recently. In fact, I'm going to have to get my glasses on for this. He says, Heather, I wanted to update you on my career progression because I'd like to thank you again. He said, the last time we spoke, I was the director of growth, gives us to the company. Back in December, the company had a large round of layoffs. So when Scott and I had met on a call and he was telling me about what happened in the academy, I didn't even know about these layoffs coming, right? We hadn't even talked about those, but he said the company had a large round of layoffs. He says, as you know, the job market is very competitive right now with hundreds of applications for each position. He said, most people are lucky to get a single interview, let alone make it through the entire process with the company. He said, this is where I feel your templates, structure, guidance helped a lot. He goes on to say, I was able to get regular interviews with the companies I applied to. He said, I've talked with others who were also laid off from the same company and other friends looking for new positions. Many told me that they apply for hundreds of positions, but rarely get interviews. So this kind of sounds like Scott before he even took the academy, before he even joined us in the program. He said, that was definitely not my experience. He goes on to say, I would get an interview for every 7 to 8 applications, which is a lot compared to most people I talk to. He goes on to say that he actually landed a new position. He said, not only is a good company, but he also got another pay increase. And he said it was about 15%. He goes, thank you to your help. Your training course has paid for itself many times across multiple new roles and companies. And here's the ironic thing. When Scott and I were talking, I said, hey, don't you feel so much better now that you have a system? And he never had mentioned the potential of layoffs coming in this call, but I said, don't you feel so much better now that you have a system that if anything does happen, or if you do have to go out back into the job market, you know what to do? And he's like, yes, absolutely. It gives me so much more confidence knowing that anything can happen. And I have the tools and the resources that I need in order to come back out on top again. And notice he has been increasing his salary over and over. And oh, sorry, I didn't even show the slide that when I was talking about it. Here's the slide. So he says your trainings course has paid for itself many times across multiple new roles and companies. So that is our goal for you if you decide to join us in the Academy. I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about the Academy as we dive into today's content. So a lot of you did say, yes, Scott's story resonates with me. And I know because I meet with a lot of you and I understand where the struggle is and where the puzzle pieces are missing. And I want to tell you that if you decide to join us in the Academy, you'll be able to see success just like Daniela, just like Scott, just like the hundreds of other folks that join us inside of the Academy. Now, let's dive into what we are going to cover today because we have a lot of interview strategies, salary negotiation strategies that we need to get to. So I'm going to share with you the 3 phases of the job interview process that you need to master to make a strong first impression. We'll then review. And you know I love frameworks, right? We'll then review a simple framework to manage nerves and overcome anxiety in job interviews. We're going to talk about smart tactics to answer the most asked interview questions, including those tricky behavioral-based interview questions. We'll also look at top questions that you can ask your interviewer to show you are the right fit for the position. And then we'll dive into methods that you can use to confidently articulate your worth and structure the salary and secure the salary you deserve. So are you guys ready for this? Give me a go time. Well, actually, don't even give me a go time because I have a different question for you. And remember, if you're participating in the chat, you are entered in to win today's giveaway, which is a scholarship worth over $2,000 into our World Class Career Academy program. So what's the most ridiculous interview question you've been asked before? Type into the chat, what is the most ridiculous interview question that you have been asked before? while you're typing that in, let me share with you the 3 phases of the interview process to master that will help you make a strong first impression. So I like to break it into 3 different phases, and we're going to kind of touch on each of these as we go throughout today's presentation. But I break it down into 3 phases. The first phase is always going to be before the interview, right? So these are little steps that you're going to be taking where you're researching the company, you're practicing for those common interview questions depending on the company and the industry. And then, of course, you're preparing your questions to ask the interviewer, right? We're going to talk a little bit more about the research part, the common questions, and then questions that you are going to ask the interviewer. Now, the other part to this process is what's happening during the interview, right? So we have before the interview, we have during the interview. During the interview is really where you're going to make a really strong impression. Now, you got to dress appropriately, the basics, arrive on time, be friendly, present yourself well, really be mindful of your body language, engage actively, listen actively, address any of their concerns or questions in a very positive way, right? So that's what's happening during the interview. Now, inside of the Academy, we dive deeper into during the interview phase. Today, we're kind of talking a little bit more about before the interview, but we dive deeper into during the interview phase, like what you should wear, what should you wear in a phone interview versus, or excuse me, a video interview versus an in-person interview. Sometimes it varies. And then the next phase to the interview process is what happens after the interview ends. So again, I want to say this is one of the most important parts because this is when you're now doing your follow-up. You're sending a thank you note. You're reflecting on your performance, like saying, hey, what did I do well in this last interview? What did I not do so well with that maybe I need to improve next time for the second interview or for another interview that I might have? And then this again is where you're going to stay in touch. If you can ask them for feedback or whatever that might be, the follow-up process or after the interview is one of the most critical pieces. This is kind of where I like to say the deals are made, right? Is after that process. So let me see where you guys are in terms of interesting questions, and they could be anything like silly questions. I mean, I've had so many people say, Heather, I hate these questions because some of them don't even relate to the position. And I don't like that. I hate when interviewers try and like ask you, what would you be if you were an animal? Or I'm like, come on, give me a break. Like what? We're not thinking about that. We're just thinking about the position, the company, the industry, why we're a good fit. We're not thinking about what animal we want to be, right? Oh, awesome. Let me see. The chat's kind of moving fast. Anna said, what are your weaknesses? We are going to cover that today, Anna. So we'll dive into that one. Let me see. There was another one I wanted to highlight. Oh, this is one that people should not ask. Do you have children? That should not matter in an interview. I would say if you start getting questions like, do you have children? Or tell me about your personal life, that's a big red flag. So I would not even address that in an interview. Okay, Suzanne says, I really don't like the walk me through your resume or tell me about yourself. It makes the interviewer seem unprepared. I agree with that. We are going to be talking a little bit about the tell me about yourself question. I have a framework that I want you to use when it comes to this. And I agree, if they're saying, hey, walk me through your resume, it's like, can you see it? It's right in front of you. But sometimes people just they're really asking these questions to kind of get a gauge of your character, your personality, how well you present yourself. So that's another one. Let me see if there's a lot of people are talking about the weaknesses question. Oh, Christine, this is an interesting one. So happy you're here, by the way. Says, describe a sunset to a blind person. Oh, geez. Well, okay, I guess if the company that you're working for I do have some clients that do find positions with companies that they help blind people or people that are hard of hearing. And in that case, that question probably is appropriate. Good. Okay, good. I love that. That's some good ones. Okay, next question for you guys. On a scale of 1 to 5, this one's easy. How would you rate your job interview anxiety? So 1 being Let's do it this way. One being, I don't have a lot of anxiety. I feel very comfortable presenting myself. 5 being, my anxiety is so off the charts that I can't speak well. My sentences come out jumbled. I don't even know what I'm saying half the time. And then I kick myself when the interview is done. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate your job interview anxiety? While you're typing that in, let's look at the framework to help you manage those nerves and overcome anxiety during a job interview. So again, I love frameworks, you guys, because I think that it helps structure the system and the process so much easier. So let's look at this framework. So the very first thing, if you want to get those nerves and anxiety under intact, right? So that you're not like mumbling and who knows what else in the interview, sweating profusely. You need to know and understand the company. So this is, what does the company do? Why do they do it? What's their vision? What's their mission? What are their core values? I know there's a lot of people that are like, look, I just want to get a job and I really don't care about this stuff. If that's you, you are probably one of the folks that are not getting those interviews, that are not securing that job offer, right? We really want to look at positions that aren't just positions to get a job, but that really align with who you are. And that starts, again, we went through the skills assessment and targeted job search strategy on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we covered your resume, cover letter. All these pieces fit into place, right? So we always need to know and understand the company, knowing some of those key parts to the company. The other thing you need to do is know and understand the position. So this is, what qualifications are they looking for in their ideal candidate? What are the position requirements? What characteristics are they looking for in their ideal candidate? And there's a lot of ways you can go about this information. Basically, a lot of it is just your general research. So again, this is taking place before the interview even starts. And a lot of times, I like to say this might even be taking place before you even submit an application, right? Now, the next part to the framework is to know your own accomplishments. What are some of the largest problems you've solved? What are some of the biggest projects you've worked on? What must the interviewer know about you in that interview before it ends in order for you to be able to put yourself in the best possible light? And then how has your work created benefit? Or what are the results or the outcomes that you've had in the past? So this is a framework that you need to know before you go into any interview. And I'm going to argue and say probably before you even submit your application for the position, right? But again, we're brushing up on all of it before we even go into the interview, because you're going to get questions on pretty much all of these, right? Any of these points you're going to need to know before that interview. All right, let me see where you are in terms of interview anxiety in the chat. Let's see. Oh, okay. I'm not bad. I'm actually seeing some 2s, some 3s, some 5s. That's good. Some 4s. Cindy says a 5. Well, okay. I'm meaning that means your interview anxiety is high. That's okay. We're gonna hopefully decrease that. Yes, let's see. Meadow Rose says, what if you are not aware of any type of accomplishments? You're just doing your job. This is where you got to do a little bit of research and figure out, what have I done in the past, right? What big projects have I worked on? What results have I seen in the past? And if we go back to yesterday's presentation, I shared with you guys a simple formula for finding your achievement statements or your results-driven achievement statements. So it's even just taking something as simple as I filed papers, right? And instead of saying I filed papers, it's how many papers did you file? Why was that such a benefit to a company, right? Did it increase productivity? Did it decrease costs for them? Did it increase revenue? So we're really thinking about that along the entire journey. Next question for you. What's one skill or attribute you like to highlight during an interview, or that you try to highlight? What's one skill or attribute that you always try to highlight in a job interview? Type that into the chat. Remember, if you're participating, you will get entered in to win our scholarship to World Class Career Academy, which is our premium job search and career coaching program. We'll be announcing the winner for that toward the end of this presentation. And again, go to heatheraustin.online/review if you have not yet submitted your resume and profile for the review show on Monday. All right, awesome. Jennifer says conflict resolution. The Merrick says fast learner. I love that. Tane, so happy you're here, says helping people. Brett says teamwork and collaboration. Love it. We have adaptability, attention to detail. Upward and onward says advocate for the client. Great. This is good. Okay. I'm going to have you guys dig deeper into that in just a minute here. So let's look at when we're thinking about questions that might pop up in an interview. I'm going to preface this with, no matter what question I'm going to share with you that I want you to prepare for, it actually doesn't matter, right? This is just to get your wheels spinning so that you can start talking clearly about yourself and that you can kind of touch on whatever they might ask you. When it comes to an interview, and I don't have a slide about this, so write this down in your notes if you can, or remember this mental note. You need to have career stories, and I call them mini career stories because they're little things that have happened along your career, whether you're a recent grad and it was in college or high school, or you're just starting out, or you're a mid-level professional, or maybe you're a senior level professional. It does not matter. Most of us have some instances in our career that we can speak about, that we want the interviewer or we want to tell people about because it shows how awesome we are. I want you to have in your back pocket 5 to 7 of these that you can take into any interview, and no matter what question they ask you, you can say to them, oh, okay, yeah, well, there was this time that I did X, Y, and Z, and this is why I'm a good fit for this position. Or one of my biggest strengths is X, Y, and Z. In fact, in my previous job, I did whatever. So we're taking these mini career stories and we are using those to answer any question we get in an interview. But what I want to do is I want to show you some simple frameworks for some of the more popular questions. And this is to help you practice for that next interview. So we have the tell me about yourself question, that one, or take me through your resume, right? As mentioned earlier. This one is one of those questions that people either love or they hate. I like to look at this more as like your pitch, which, by the way, the challenge for today is going to relate back to this question. So take notes on this if you need to. When we're looking at the tell me about yourself question, there's a couple ways I want you to look at this. You're going to talk about where you are now, and I don't have a separate slide on each of these, so take notes on this. Or again, you can always catch the replay until Monday. You're going to talk about where you are now, how you got to where you are, why you love what you're doing. And notice I said the word love. Yes, I said that. Love, passion, excitement, that kind of thing. Why you love what you're doing. What makes you unique? So out of all the other people that are answering this question or in this job interview, why are you so special? What makes you unique? And then the final part to this question is, how does the position you're applying for, how does that relate to your career goals? And again, that would encompass like where you see yourself in 5 years. Oh, I see myself working here and blah, 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 blah. Whatever you're going to say. So let me say this again. I don't have a separate slide on this. I do inside of the academy. We dive deep into this question inside the academy, but just to kind of brush the surface with this, you're going to talk about where you are now. How did you get to where you are? Why do you love what you're doing? What makes you unique/special? And how does the position relate to your career goals? Got it? Give me a got it in the chat if this is making sense to you. Give me a got it in the chat if this is making sense to you. Yes, Linda mentions, I always use STAR, helpful to reframe interview question response. We're going to talk about STAR in just a second here. Thanks for mentioning that, Linda. Yes, Carolyn says, I definitely hate the tell me about yourself question. It's a hard one, but hopefully that gets you going. Yep. And Richard said, I like to use Carl. And there's so many acronyms for this. I have my own that I'm going to share with you guys in just a second. Good. Okay. I'm seeing tons of got it's in the chat. Awesome. Love to see those. All right, the next one I want you to be prepared for is why do you want to work here? Now, this could encompass so many different questions. Again, it doesn't matter what question they ask. We are having our career stories on hand so that we can answer any question, right? This question, what employers are trying to do is they're trying to look at your interest in their company, how well you've actually researched the role in the organization, and if you really even want to be there. If you remember the TikTok I shared, which I have another TikTok to share with you guys today, the TikTok I shared yesterday about the employer that said we'll get 60 to 100 applicants per position, and only about 5 of them have really tailored their stuff, and only 5 of them are the ones coming in for an interview. So this is really where you're going to already know why you want to work there because you've done your research, you've tailored your application material, so on and so forth, right? What you want to do with this question is you need to highlight specific aspects of the company culture, which you hopefully know about, their values, their mission, maybe they have products or services that they sell, whatever that might be. All you're doing is you're highlighting how all of that aligns with your career goals. Okay, so let me repeat that. You're highlighting specific aspects of the company's culture, vision, mission, whatever that is, and how it aligns with your career goals. Now, inside the Academy, we have an entire workbook for this section where I walk you through and there's way more questions than 5, but I walk you through the most popular or commonly asked questions. I give sample responses, and then there's an area for you to now let's make your response. So it's an entire workbook on the most popular questions, sample responses, and let's work through your responses. All right, the next one, the strengths. Now we're going to get to weaknesses in a second, which a lot of you said, I hate this question, the weaknesses question, but let's talk about strengths for a second. This one I feel like is a lot easier than the weaknesses question, but if you're just getting started in the interview process, a lot of people have a really hard time talking about themselves and even talking about their strengths. So this is where you really need to do some thinking. And what's happening with this question is interviewers are gauging or employers are gauging your self-awareness and your own understanding of what your strengths are. So what I want you to do when answering this question is choose a relevant skill, so something that relates to the position or some sort of quality that you have, and provide a specific example of how you've demonstrated that in a previous role, right? So someone might say, hey, what are your strengths? Oh, one of my biggest strengths is my ability to do X, Y, and Z, or my yada, yada, yada. In my previous position, I did such and such. We're always coming back with some sort of an example to provide insight to the interviewer so that they can see you in action. You're not just going to say, oh, my biggest strength is leadership, training, management, blah, blah, blah. You got to say your strength and then give us an example of why that's your strength. It could even be, I received an award from the CEO because of this, or I worked on a project that demonstrated my skills in this section. Now, the weaknesses question is a little bit more challenging. What's happening with this question is they're actually looking at, they're kind of testing your ability to acknowledge areas that you can improve and how you handle challenges. So what I want you to do in answering this question is you need to choose a specific weakness that is not crucial to the role. And I don't want you to do all the weaknesses. I'm too detail oriented, like all those ones that people say when they don't know what to say. I want you to choose a specific weakness and be real about this, but make sure it does not relate to the role. So that's going to be the first part. But then I also want you to demonstrate your willingness to learn and grow. So you could mention some sort of weakness, but you're saying, this is my weakness, but here's what I'm doing to combat that, or here's what I have done to combat that, right? So you're mentioning the steps that you are taking to address the weakness. Make sense? Give me a yes in the chat if this makes sense. Type yes into the chat if this makes sense. Yes, a lot of people are like, the weaknesses question is a tricky one. Yep, if you can follow that simple framework I just shared, and again, in the academy, we go into all these questions in detail. I love this. Isabel asked a question. Tell me about yourself. Does it need to be customized to each job posting like the resume? That's such a good question. I would recommend, you're going to kind of have a general statement, right? About where you are, how'd you get there, what you love. Like it should kind of be like a master response. But then when it comes to how does the position align with your career goals and aspirations, you might have to change it a little bit. Now, because this question is normally the first question that you'll be asked in an interview, it does become pretty important to tailor. So I would say before every interview, like for example, okay, let's take Scott. I shared his story with you just recently. I shared a clip with you, how he said he had applied for 80 positions. Didn't get any results, jumped into the academy, learned what he needed to learn, jumped back out into the job market. He only had to apply for 3 jobs. So I would be advising Scott, hey, you need to be very specific with your interviews with these 3 companies, because it's not 80, it's 3. And he got job offers with those 3 companies, right? And then his top company, that was his best job offer. He's like, I'm taking that, right? And then notice his success over the time since he's been in the academy. So yes, you're going to do that little bit of work, because I don't want you going on 80 interviews. I want you to go on 3, 4, 5 interviews and land your top job offer, right? All right, next question that we need to make sure you're prepped for. Describe a challenging situation and how you handled it. So again, this is going to go back to, I'm going to share a simple method with you where we talk about the STAR approach to interviewing. This is one of those questions where it's situational, it's behavioral. The interviewer's wanting to know, give me a time when you did this and how you handled it, because I want to see if you can do the same thing in our place of employment, if you can mimic that same behavior. So I'm going to break it down and I'm going to show you exactly how to do the STAR response in just a minute. But before I do that, on day 1 of this mini series, we talked about AI in the chat. So I know a lot of you guys were probably here also for day 1, but type this again, because I asked this on day 1. In the chat, have you started using AI in your job search? So not just AI in general. AI in your job search. I'm going to share with you some prompts that are going to help you prep these questions. And there's so many more prompts that you can use. In fact, inside the academy, again, I share prompts on how to get really specific with these questions and your own story. So it's going to help you refine your story so that you're not mumbling on and on and on. That's one thing a lot of my clients will tell me is, Heather, when I get into an interview, I keep talking. I can't get this question down to 30 seconds or 1 minute or 2 minutes, whatever it might be. I just keep going on and on and on and rambling and sharing all these details that don't even matter, right? We want you to get very succinct and clear with your responses. So in the chat, type yes if you have started using AI in your job search, not just AI, but in your job search. So chat.openai.com, that is the AI resource that I use. I think it's the number 1 by far the best in terms of engaging in dialogue and conversation and having it help you with streamline your job search process. Now, I shared a little bit on Tuesday some of these prompts, but I'm going to share one prompt with you. So take a screenshot of this. I'm going to share a prompt with you that will help you get these questions squared away. So, in fact, you know what I'm going to do? Let me see if I can copy this and paste it into the chat. Let me see what that looks like. And it might be too long. Is it going to let me paste it? Oh, shoot. I don't think it's going to let me paste it because it's too long. Darn it. All right. That's okay. What you're going to do is you're going to ask ChatGPT, hey, can you help me prep for an upcoming job interview? I'm anticipating questions like, tell me about yourself. Why do you want to work here? So on and so forth. Could you provide me with tips and sample answers for these questions? So this is a prompt that you could ask ChatGPT. Now, there's so many more prompts that we could dive into here. We're not going to do that today because it would take us forever to get through today's content. I have a lot more that I want to share with you. But you can actually give it the job description, ask it, hey, what question should I be prepping for? Here's my resume. Can you help me now match up my experience with what the job posting is requiring? There's a lot of little steps that you can take in the beginning to really help you cut down on the time that it's going to take you to prep for the interview. Carrie's like, the count is 200 characters. Thanks, Carrie. I didn't know that. I've never tried to paste a big, huge message into the chat. So that's good to know. All right. So everyone have a screenshot of that. I'm going to ask you the next question. Get a screenshot of this. And by the way, if you decide to join us in the Academy, we have all of the prompts ready for you where you can just copy and paste from Word, PDF, and Google Docs. So we have them all. In fact, we're actually putting them all into Google Doc right now and sharing links with the docs because we find that that's so much easier for people to come in and actually just grab the prompt from there. All right, on a scale of 1 to 5, how familiar are you with the STAR interview approach? I know a lot of you have already mentioned this in the chat about the STAR. I'm going to share my own STAR method, which is a little bit simpler, but I'm always trying to think of ways to present information to you guys to make it simple because I need visuals and I need things to be simple. I told you guys if I ever have to put a piece of furniture together, if there's not pictures and like exact instructions, like step 1, do this. And then here's a picture. Step 2, do that. I'm like, I can't even put this piece of furniture together. So that's how I approach these with you guys. On a scale of 1 to 10, how familiar are you with the STAR approach? Now, while you're typing that in, I want to give you just a couple of examples of what these behavioral-based or what we'd call situational-based interview questions look like. So these are not the traditional, tell me about yourself, what's your biggest weakness, why do you want to work here, why do you want this job, blah, blah, blah. These are more meaningful, detail-oriented questions where they really want you to get into an exact situation. So here's just a quick example of what that looks like. Tell me about a time when you had to meet a tight deadline. How did you manage it? Describe a situation where you had to work collaboratively with a difficult team member. How did you handle that situation? Create and share an example, can you share an example of a challenging project you worked on? How did you approach the challenge and achieve an outcome or a positive outcome? So you'll know that it is a behavioral-based interview question when they start asking you, tell me about a time, or can you describe a situation where, or can you share a time when you did such and such, right? Now, how I like to answer these questions, it's the same as STAR, except for I call it the PRO method. So I lump it into your problem, your response, and your outcome. So if we were to look at each of these, when it comes to the problem, let's focus on that one for just a second. This is where you're describing the situation. And a lot of times these are like, tell me about a challenging time, tell me about a challenging boss, tell me about a challenging coworker, right? So you're describing the situation or that challenge that you faced. Now, it's important that you give the interviewer as much context as possible without oversharing, but you need to explain the circumstance that prompted you to take the action. And then, of course, you always want to be very specific and concise. So you're kind of just talking about the problem. From there, you're going to give what your response was. So you're detailing the actions that you took for that problem or that challenge. So what steps did you follow? What decisions did you make? What strategies did you employ? You're really trying to highlight your contributions and emphasize your skills, your qualities in solving the problem, right? So far we have problem and response. So what was the problem? What steps are you taking to solve that problem? Then this is probably the most important part of this is the outcome. So this is really similar, you guys. If you think to that formula that I shared with you yesterday, the action verb plus the task plus the result, it's pretty much the same thing, except for we're now looking at it in an interview response way rather than on the resume. And this shows that the prep that you put into your resume makes such a huge difference when you go into an interview, because you've already thought through all these things on your resume. Then when you go into the interview, you're picking the ones you want to share, those mini career stories, and they're already in story format. But instead of you reading it like it's on a resume, you're now going to be talking about it as a story. So when it comes to the outcome, you're sharing the positive results, right? We're never going to share negative results. You're sharing the positive results or the impact of your actions. So you're going to describe how your response to that problem led to some sort of successful resolution or contributed to achieving a specific goal. Now, here's the other thing. Remember yesterday I mentioned the more you can quantify, the better. Same thing applies here. Did you save time? Did you increase efficiencies? Did you improve a process? Did you enhance a team collaboration? You want to use measurable achievements to illustrate the impact of your efforts. That's a lot. I want you to give me a pro in the chat if that's making sense. And again, you guys have access to this replay until Monday. So if you need to go back and rewatch some of the things that we have, some of the things that we have popped in here, make sure you do that. So give me a pro in the chat if that is starting to make sense to you. Yes, awesome. Richard, I'm going to highlight your comment. Says, sorry, it passed me already. Carrie, I tried to slow down the chat, but I don't think my efforts paid off. We were trying to slow down the chat because we want to make sure we get to your questions, and sometimes they pass us by so fastly. So Richard said, I really think it makes your application more powerful if you add what you learned from your career story. I love that. That is an amazing tip, Richard. Thanks for sharing that. All right, I'm going to give you a quick example, and then we'll move on to the next step here. This is just a quick example of, hey, tell me about a time you had to handle a difficult team member. Now, we have plenty of these examples inside of the Academy. This is just one so that you can kind of see how we're using the problem response outcome. So I'm saying in a project I was working on, I had a team member who consistently disagreed with the direction we were taking, causing tension within the group. Okay, that's pretty easy, right? Like you could say that. To address this issue, I scheduled a one-on-one meeting with the team member. So I'm now going through, I'm giving them the problem, I'm giving them the steps I took to address the issue. Then I'm going into the outcome. As a result of our conversation, now here's what I want you to focus on. Notice I'm starting with, this is like a template response. In a project I was working on, X, Y, and Z happened. To address the issue, these are the steps I took. And then as a result of our conversation or of the steps I took, this is what happened, right? So notice how if you can get it into that pro formula, that framework, how you can now start just saying, okay, in a project I was working on to address the issue as a result of our conversation, this is what happened, right? Awesome, good. And by the way, we do have AI prompts and all that stuff for you inside the Academy to help you structure these responses better. Now, I'm not saying I want you to heavily rely on AI, but what I will say is if you can get it out of your mind onto paper and get the ideas flowing, you can then take it back to AI to have it help you or to help you to do the research. And it will save you a lot of time. And by the way, Scott and Daniela, we had even started putting AI into place when they were in the academy. So we just recently, because AI is so new, started putting AI into practice with almost everything that we're doing. And it's saving folks lots and lots of time. All right, so what I want to know in the chat, are the situational questions easier for you? So those are the behavioral based questions where they want to know some sort of situation, or are the traditional interview questions easier for you? So type into the chat situational if you like those questions better, or traditional like the why do you want to work here? Why do you want this job? Tell me about your weaknesses. Tell me which questions are easier for you. All right, we're moving right along. I want to jump into questions that you can ask your interviewer to show that you are the right fit for the position. And then I have another quick TikTok I want to share with you. I'm loving TikTok right now, even though I'm like, I should just put my phone on and start recording quick TikToks for my folks that are on TikTok, which I don't even know if you guys are. I never was until like a month ago. So, okay, questions to ask your interviewer. Again, I'm going to share another framework with you. I like to break it into three types. You're always going to ask questions about the company, questions about the position, and questions about the team. So when you go into an interview, I want you to make a mental note of, I need questions about the company, I need questions that address the position itself, and then I need to know who I'm going to be working with, so I need questions about the team. I'm going to give you an example, a couple of examples of questions for each category. So if we're looking at questions about the company, this one's simple. I understand that your company values are blah, blah, blah. So now you're saying, hey, I've done my research. I know what you guys are all about. And then I'm going to say, what characteristics do you look for in employees in order to represent those values? Pretty easy, right? Or another question I could ask about the company, what opportunities for professional development and growth does the company offer? Pretty good questions, right? Now, again, in the academy, I share many, many, many more questions in each category that you can ask to help you get your wheel spinning. You can change these as you see fit. You can use them exactly as you see fit, but I want you to have at least one question per category. The other thing I want you to think about is you don't have to wait until the end of the interview to ask these questions. If something comes up and you're in conversation and you want to know something, you can ask these questions during the interview. In fact, I encourage you to do it during the interview, because what will happen is it now turns the interview into a more dialogue and more of a conversation, rather than them just drilling you for like 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours straight. Like you need to, I like you to ask these questions during the interview. All right, questions about the position. You can ask them about, what does the onboarding process look like? That would be a great one for toward the end. How does the company measure success in this role? I like that one during the interview, right? You can kind of pick and choose, but these address the actual position. And you could go into even more, which I have plenty more questions inside the academy. Like, anything. You could, there's so many things you could talk about when it comes to the position. If we're going to look at the team, to me, this is one of the most important ones, because I feel like if you have a good team and you have a great manager / supervisor and coworkers, it makes the work environment so much more pleasurable. So you could say something like, hey, can you provide me an overview of the team structure I'd be working with? Another one would be, what challenges is the team currently facing, and how does the role that I would be in contribute to addressing them? And again, make these more casual if you want, make them more formal if you need to, but this gives you a really good idea of what you can do when it comes to asking those questions. Now, my next question for you is, what question will you ask in your next interview? Type into the chat, what question will you ask in your next interview? Yes, I love this. So someone popped in a question. Isn't it generally a bad idea to ask questions that basically say, what do I get or what does the company offer me? Well, if you were going to say, what do I get or what can you offer me? I don't like that terminology, but I do think you can ask questions in a politically correct fashion that you're doing the digging to learn about, hey, what am I going to get out of this position, especially if you're interviewing for multiple positions, which that would be my goal for you. Like when I talked to Scott and Daniela and some of our other Academy members, is I want you to be at the end of the day when the interview processes are all complete, I want you to be looking at two or three different job offers. And now you're trying to decide which job offer to take. Right. And so you do have to get to that point of why is this position going to be the best fit for you over the other ones you're hiring for? But we're not going to use terms like, hey, what do I get? Or what are you guys going to give me? We're going to ask it in a more politically correct, polite fashion, because you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. You have to remember that at the end of the day. And again, I want to address this because oh, whoops, my slides just disappeared on my end. Here they are. Let me show you this. Inside of the Academy, we do have our job interview mastery course. We don't have time today to get to all of the interview follow-up. But again, remember those 3 phases I talked about at the beginning: the before, the during, and the after. The after the interview is a very important component. I want to touch on, instead of the follow-up today, I want to touch on salary negotiation. But just know that inside of the Academy, in our job interview mastery course, we have all the AI templates, the follow-up templates. So not just templates to ask AI, but templates that you can use in the interview process. Like maybe you applied for a position and you haven't heard back. And it's been a week, or maybe you just ended the position and now you need to send a follow-up to the 3 different people you interviewed with. What are you going to say? Maybe you're on your second interview. What do you say in that follow-up? Well, now maybe you're on a third interview. What do you say in that follow-up? You're always keeping the conversation going, right? So it's super critical, that follow-up component. All of that is located inside of our Academy. And I'm loving seeing you guys in the chat, because we're going to be giving, well, that's not what we're giving. That was yesterday's. We are going to be doing, let me show you the correct slide. I have so many slides here. I think over the course of how many days have we been going through this? We have been, I'm going to be showing you guys hundreds of slides over the course of the 4 days that we're together. We are going to be doing our scholarship giveaway in just a minute. So tune in for that. And then, of course, I do want to share just a little bit more with you about World Class Career Academy if you decide to join us in that program. Now, let's quickly jump into how you're going to articulate your worth and secure the salary you deserve. I'm going to share in just a second with you a case study with a client that I had where we had to go through this process, and and we do this very frequently, but this was one that I'm like, I want to share with these guys what that looks like, so that you know what you're dealing with in the end when you do get to that salary negotiation phase. But let me first break it down in terms of the tactics that you need to employ before you even start talking about salary. So you're always going to understand what your worth is. I'm going to share with you 2 resources, and they're free resources that you can use to go and do some more research on your salary. So understanding your worth, being able to articulate your value. So what do you bring to the table and why should they pay you this much? And then being able to negotiate your package. So when I say package, I'm not talking about just salary. I'm talking about the overall compensation package that you might be getting when you join a company. So the 2 resources that I want you to think about when you're looking at determining your value is payscale.com and glassdoor.com/salaries. Now, there's like 100 other websites you could go to. In fact, I use the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics a lot to do some research on, especially for folks that are looking to transition into certain industries. We'll go into that a lot to look at Well, if you want to go from industry A to industry B, are you going to need to take a pay cut? Will you be taking a pay increase? Whatever that might be. So I like to do the research. I use the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics a lot, but just for a quick overview of where can I go to get some salary information, payscale.com and glassdoorsalaries.com. In fact, type yes in the chat if you have used either of these resources, or if you have even looked at what you're worth, right? Have you even looked this up before? And if you haven't, I highly recommend that you do that. Let's see. I'm wondering if we want to dive into this. Yes, okay. So when we talk about knowing your worth, right? Again, that's going to be our us determining what that salary looks like, but then articulating your value. We talked a little bit about this yesterday when I said with your LinkedIn headline, I would like to see some sort of unique selling proposition, or what we call a USP. This is what you're going to be talking about in the interview when you do your salary negotiation. So I want you to think about this as a combination of your skills and your expertise and how those set you apart from other candidates. You have to know your USP going into the interview and especially the salary negotiation phase. Now, I just have a couple more screens to share with you guys, and you can screenshot these if you want. There's a big question that comes up in interviews, and sometimes this is before the interview. It's like in this initial phone screen is, what is your expected salary? Take a screenshot of this. We go into more detail in this inside of the academy, but if someone's going to ask you your expected salary up front, they're trying to get an idea of, can they afford you, right? Are you, or like, how are you seeing where that job lines up? A lot of times candidates can take themselves out in this phase, right? Meaning you kind of strike out here because you either give them too much, or maybe you don't tell them enough, right? In my opinion, and sometimes you're not going to be able to do this, but in my opinion, I want you to be able to get them to tell you first what the salary range is for that job if they have not advertised it. Now, normally you've done your research in terms of what is my worth? You're able to, or what is my value? What is my worth? And you're able to kind of talk about that compensation package really, really well. But if you don't have that information up front, like if you don't know what their salary range is, these are the sample responses I want you to use. So they might say, hey, what's your expected salary? And you could say, hey, I'm much more interested in doing the type of work here at this name of the company than I am in the size of the initial offer. And then you're kind of getting them to give you what's the salary for the position, right? Now, technically, they should not be asking you what you're currently making. I would never respond with what you're currently making. If they're talking about what your expected salary is, those questions are okay. But again, we're trying to get them to tell you what the position pays. Right? Now, if we go into sample response 2, I'm open to discussing this as we get further in the interview process. Once I've learned more about the position, the company, and who I will be working with. However, I will consider any reasonable offer. I mean, you could use these word for word, right? And then another sample response is, let's say they keep drilling you and they really want to know. You'll say, hey, I will consider any reasonable offer. However, based on my skills, my expertise, all the research you've done, right? And what I know, based on what I know about the company and the position right now, because that could change. I believe a salary of X and X, whatever, is competitive. So you got to kind of keep that in mind. You can give them an amount, but I would never do a range. I would always be very specific with that amount. But the amount that you ask for, I would make it in the middle of your lowest salary and your highest. You're never going to give them your low. And I mean, you could give them your high, but we're going to be shooting for the moon here. I want to show you a client case study really quickly. So it's a table. I had a client who was trying to decide between two job offers, right? So here's company A and here's company B. And I want to ask you guys, when I show you after we negotiated, I want to ask you either company A or B, do you think this client accepted? So for company A, they were offering an annual salary of $120. Company B was offering an annual salary of $160. Neither company had a signing bonus, and only company A had an annual bonus of 10%. Company A also had a vacation bonus of $2,000. Both companies had restricted stock units or RSUs, right, which gives you more equity in a company. Company A did do a 401k match of 6%, whereas company B was only doing a 3% match. In terms of health insurance, it was a 75-25 split, right? So they're going to pay for 75%. You're only paying for 25%. Company B, the health insurance was 80-10. I've seen it a lot. I've seen times before, like if you work for the government or like the state, it will be like a 90-10 or 95-5, which is awesome. I think normally it's a 90-10. PTO was about the same for each company. Now, this was both of their offers. This is before negotiating. So my client could have said, oh, I really like company A. I'm going to go with company A and I'm not going to even ask them for any increase. Or they could have said, I'm going to go with company B and I'm not going to ask for any increase, or I'm not going to even negotiate. I'm just going to take one or the other. Well, what we did is we went back and we now negotiated. So a couple of the things that we negotiated was the annual salary, right? So company A increased their annual salary and company B also increased their annual salary, which was awesome. Company A also increased or said, okay, fine, we'll give you a signing bonus. Company B is like, no, we're not going to do that. But company B did say, hey, we'll increase the RSUs or the restricted stock units. So you could, that might add a little bit, right? So based on this, which company do you think my client chose based on what you see here? I'm kind of seeing different people are saying. Mark says B, Asika says B, Victoria says, I think I would go with company A. Teresa says A. Sophie says A. Yeah, someone says, I will go for B. I like that. Good. All right. So my client, this is what it came down to at the end of the day. Notice annual salary was at the bottom. However, that was still important. That is always important. But what my client was looking at was the company culture and the values, looking at job title and responsibilities, because I didn't even share that with you. So with company A, it was actually a lesser position, meaning not as much responsibility, and the job title was clearly a step down from what company B was. And that was really, really, really important to this client, because my client said, hey, in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, when I'm ready to move on to another company, if I have a higher up job title now, I'm going to be able to eventually get paid more, right? And then, of course, my client was looking for those opportunities for learning and growth, and then annual salary came in. So my client ended up going with company B, which I was thrilled with. I'm like, I think this is a great option. You know, I think that I wish the one thing I would have wanted to push for was the signing bonus and the annual bonus. To me, those are awesome. Like at the end of the day, I like those because, especially the annual bonus, because you're adding another layer to the salary. The one thing I will say that we have noticed as well, though, that you have to be really careful with is companies will say, you're going to get an annual bonus. And then like 2 or 3 years in, they're like, oh, sorry, it's not in our budget anymore. So you can't get an annual bonus. So I would make sure that it's really secure that you are going to get that annual bonus. But I love the signing in the annual bonuses because those cash injections, either right when you start a new position or whatnot, or annually, sometimes they'll give them to you right before a holiday. They call them holiday bonuses, or in the spring. Those are awesome. And especially, I mean, I have a family of 6 people. Those bonuses can mean a difference, right, in our family. And I'm sure most of you guys too. So I do really like to push for those. You'll get an idea as you're looking at your as you're negotiating salaries if a company is willing to do that, because sometimes they're just like, nope, there is no room. We have no room to negotiate the signing bonus, no room to negotiate the annual. I'll still push it a little bit, but that's kind of fun to see that. Now, question for you. I want to know what your biggest takeaway so far is today. So we covered a lot of job interview tips. We covered a lot of salary negotiation tips. Type into the chat what your biggest takeaway is today. Now, most of you joined us for this live job search mastery mini series because you're having a hard time on your job hunt. Maybe you're having a hard time navigating the current job market, right? You might even be in the same situation as Scott and Daniela before they joined the academy, not getting calls back, applying for hundreds of positions with rejection notices, or getting completely ghosted, taking a hit to your confidence. Maybe you're even recently going through a layoff or going through some sort of career transition. I know that most of you are looking to land, and I call it a life-changing job offer because it does change lives. It will change your life if you can land a position that meets your career goals, your aspirations, gives you a better work-life balance, allows you the time to be doing things, allows you more time to be doing things, the things that you love with people you love, right? Now, based on what I've taught you here today, I don't have magic resources. I do have a lot of frameworks and all that good stuff, and I have a lot of steps for you to follow. But I know that these strategies and the proven frameworks and the step-by-step guidance that we share here on our team and with our academy members, I know that it works. So I want to invite you guys to join us inside of World Class Career Academy for our summer flash offer. So World Class Career Academy is our premium job search and career coaching program. It's the one I've been mentioning all week here. It's a comprehensive training system, a complete template library. It also has a private community and a peer accountability group. But more importantly, it's a complete solution to help you negotiate a life-changing job offer with a company that aligns with your goals and aspirations. That is the most important thing, your goals and aspirations. And if that alignment doesn't work out in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you know that just like Scott, you have a system that you can jump back into and that you can pull from so that you can get back into the workforce and find the work that you love. Now, I'm going to share a couple more success stories with you. And then I'm going to share with you guys our enrollment page for the academy and kind of break down what's inside of it. So here's Maidali. She's a civil engineer. She landed a new position as a civil engineer in just 2.5 months. She said, I lost my job in mid-June because the company I worked for merged with another company and they didn't continue the position. She said, your courses and classes inside of World Class Career Academy increased my confidence, and I landed another job within 2.5 months working as a civil engineer. Now, here is what Omar said. He actually landed multiple job offers with FANG companies, resulting in a 75% salary increase. And FANG companies, there are companies like Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, the big ones, right? Which you don't have to go land a job offer with them. There's lots and lots of other companies that you can land job offers with, but that's an option. So Omar says, words cannot describe the immense gratitude I feel for joining World Class Career Academy. After 8 years without interviewing and without a proper resume, I was worried about landing a new job. He said, this was the best investment I have made in my career. The coaching, guidance, and instructions helped me to be fully prepared with all the right tools to apply an interview with confidence. He said almost every single job application I submitted resulted in interviews. He said, I ended up in a position where I received multiple job offers from well-known companies, including 2 of those FANG companies. Not only did I accept a great opportunity, but I also increased my income by 75%. So I want to share with you really quickly, I'm going to pull up the Academy enrollment page so that you guys can see this. Let me pull my screen over here so I can see it better. And then I'm also going to put my face back on the screen so I can see you guys even though I can't see you. So this is what is inside of the Academy. And by the way, we have a link for you pinned at the top of the chat. There is also a link for you inside of the description box if you are watching this on replay. And let's see, Victoria had asked a question. Shoot, Victoria, let me see if I can get it up, your question up here. Oh, there it is. So Victoria asked a question, does the Academy come with lifetime access? Absolutely. Absolutely, you guys. That is like one of my things, my biggest pet peeves when I see people that don't offer lifetime access to programs, because we get so many people like Scott who they're in a situation and then 2 years later things change. And it's like, they've already invested in the materials. Yes, you can come back and look at it. Yes, you can jump back in and brush up on your skills so that you can land job offers again. So yes, it does come with lifetime access. So let me just kind of go through really quickly what is inside the Academy. So what you'll notice here as you go through the page, and by the way, if you go to heatheraustin.online/academy, I think that's the short link to join us on this page. So we have our job search mastery course. I talked a little bit about this on Tuesday, where we dive deep into really like you discovering who you are, what your skills are, what jobs you should be focusing on, what jobs you shouldn't be focusing on, and that kind of thing. And here's the thing, you can also start in the program wherever you want. Like you might already say, oh, Heather, I have an idea already of the positions I'm applying for. I have a really good idea of what my skills are. I don't need to do that self-discovery or skill assessment. That's totally fine. You don't even have to go through the job search mastery course, but that is in there. Oh, let me move my face. Well, I'll keep scrolling. I'll scroll up or down. Okay. Next, we have our professional resume writing course. So yesterday's information was kind of the tip of the iceberg when it comes to writing the resume. I gave you enough information to put into practice some of the things that you need to really make your resume ATS friendly. But inside of the Academy, we dive deep into the entire resume writing process. So that's also going to be in there. We have our essential cover letter workshop. So this goes even deeper into the cover letter. So remember yesterday I shared the framework for the cover letter and what pieces you need to have in there. Inside the Academy, we dive deeper into each of those paragraphs. I even share with you more AI prompts that you can use to help you draft that cover letter. So I always want you to get an initial draft together, and then we can go over to AI and ask it for clarification or to help us make it better. But then even after that, we do need to go back in and review what AI is telling us, right? Because we're not just going to copy and paste what it gives us. We have our advanced job interview mastery course. So in addition to what you learned today, we actually go through even more details with the interview. We talk about the different forms of interviewing, phone interview, video interview, panel interview, group interview, so on and so forth. We talk about the interview day, making a good first impression, what you should wear, what you shouldn't wear. I give examples of interview outfits. Lots of good things in there. We do dive deeper into the behavioral-based interview questions as well. And then remember, I mentioned we have your workbook where you go through even more questions than what I shared today, but you get to see sample responses, how to answer those, and kind of develop your own responses. We have our LinkedIn strategy and profile optimization course in there as well. So this is where I dive deeper into, because yesterday I shared with you the 7 areas that I want you to improve on your profile. We dive deeper into that inside of the Academy. We also look at the application process on LinkedIn, managing your account settings, like the back end of it, and then building relationships and creating content. So I believe we have it set up for if you enroll in the academy, not only do you get this, I don't think I have it on the enrollment page, but you do get access to our 3-part LinkedIn mini series where it's like an additional 5 or 6 hours of LinkedIn training. But by the way, I'm only teaching you what you need to know, and you can skip past whatever. Like if you're like, oh, I already have my profile photo or I already have my headline, you can skip to the sections. They're really clearly labeled on what you need to do, what you want to learn. You can skip to all of those. Our career experts template and example vault. So this is our resumes, our cover letters, our LinkedIn templates, job interview follow-up templates. All of that amazing stuff is inside of here. And you can kind of just go in, pick what template you need or which one you're working on at the moment, and start using that. Of course, you're going to create your own copy on your own desktop or your own computer, and then use those templates as you need. That's actually one of my favorite things. I'm a big template person. Oh yeah, I do have it in here. You do have access. Well, actually, let me mention this because this is another bonus. You do have unlimited replay access to the LinkedIn 3-part series, but you will have unlimited access to the Job Search Mastery series as well. So this series is going to be taken down off of YouTube on Monday. It's going to be gone forever, but it will be placed inside of the online course library. So if you join us in the academy, you will have access to the mini series as well. Both of the mini series is. Our AI-powered job search tutorial with 120 chat GPT prompts. And again, the benefit of being an academy member is I'm always creating new prompts and sharing new prompts with our academy members and new resources. I'm like, okay, you guys, for this coaching session, I made this whole new resource. Go and try this. And we're doing it based off of what we're seeing in the job market, the client calls that I have. We're doing it because if one client asks me that, you better believe that like 2 or 3 are going to ask me. So I'm like, I'm going to go share this with my academy members because it's really good information. Awesome. I love it. Kim had mentioned into the chat, I would love this academy so much. And we'll announce a winner here in just a second. In fact, Carrie, if you want to get someone lined up, we'll announce a winner here in a second. We do also include our career advancement toolkit in there. This is our signature one-of-a-kind resource. It is actually one of our most popular career resources that will be included inside the academy, and then lifetime access. Now, I always add bonuses into all of my programs. So what I want to share with you really quickly are a couple of the extra bonuses that we've added. So if you decide to choose the Pro or the Mastery package, which I'll show those in just a second because we are doing 3 different packages for the Academy. Our Pro or our Mastery members, you actually get access to a couple extra bonuses, right? So we're going to have our private group coaching sessions. You get access to those every single month. If I'm not teaching this session, I like to bring on guest experts. So I bring on expert resume writers, recruiters, other career coaches, salary negotiation experts. I try and bring on as many people as I can so that you guys are exposed to as many different teaching styles as possible, right? So that's included inside of if you decide to join us in Pro or Mastery. Now, we also have our LinkedIn members community. So anyone that joins us inside of Pro or Mastery, you will be able to join us. You'll get the link and then submit to join that group, and you'll have access to that private group. You can actually start talking with the other members, engage in discussions, seek feedback if you want. Celebrate your wins. We're always about celebrating your wins and building relationships with other folks in that community. You do also have access to 3 months of dedicated email support. So what I would recommend doing for anyone that joins us in the Academy, if you have a question, because we get so many emails every day, I always advise my Academy members, you're going to say Academy member, and then give me your question, because that's going to get you to the top. Of course, I'm going to make sure you're really an Academy member, right? And then we go in and give you that dedicated email support. Now, in addition to those bonuses, if you join us in Pro and Mastery, you also get the bonus workshops. So these workshops are workshops we've done with other career experts. We have our career clarity and confidence workshop. We have our salary negotiation tactics. That's another bonus workshop. And by the way, these are just a few. There's actually a dozen or more bonus workshops that you'll have access to. Our resume writing essentials workshop, that's with our professional resume writer. And our job search mindset and focus, that's actually one of my favorites with a certified career and life coach. If you guys don't know Natalie Fisher, she's awesome. I love her. Her and I met years and years and years ago on LinkedIn, or excuse me, on YouTube, and then just recently started talking on LinkedIn. So that's also in there as well. Now, I'm not done with the bonuses, you guys. If you do join us inside of the Mastery package, so this is for Mastery members only, you will receive a career portfolio audit. So this is where I go through an in-depth review of your resume, your cover letter, and your LinkedIn profile. So I'll say, make sure you get as much of it done as possible before you even submit everything for review, right? And then submit everything for review, and then I'll go through and I'll do the review on your portfolio. You also have access to a one-on-one coaching session. So in my opinion, the Academy members that are in our Academy and they're able to get onto a one-on-one coaching session, that to me is like so synergistic that those two together really make a big, huge difference in the progress you make in your job search. So of course, I'm always going to be wanting you to join us as a Mastery member because of these bonuses. But let me tell you what else you get if you do join us in Mastery. And we also have this for our Pro members as well. If you join us and you're one of the first 10 to enroll, we've already had enrollments coming in this morning for the Academy. So I got to go in and see how many spots we have left. But if you join us and you're one of the first 10, what we're going to do is a complimentary kickoff call. So these are actually my favorite as well. You'll get a link to my calendar, and we actually are going to start these right away. We're going to start these as soon as next week. And this is just you and I on a Zoom call, and we jump in to see where you're at, what you need help with the most, where should you get started in the program. So this is a complimentary kickoff call to the first 10 people that join us inside the Academy. Now, we've already had folks enrolling, so I got to check on how many spots we have available for that. But if you are interested in doing this, we'd like to award our fast action takers. You will get access to that complimentary coaching session. We will hop on a call as early as next week. We'll start them next week, and we'll be able to do that. Now, this is actually a pay in full bonus. So you need to be one of the pay in full members in either our Pro or our Mastery in order to get the kickoff call, right? Because we have people from all over paying just to do a one-on-one session with me. That's why we're making this as a pay in full bonus. Now, here's something we've never done as our next bonus. And this is to my fast action takers as well, which we've already had some fast action takers today, is a 20% additional savings. But let me tell you, the 20% only lasts today. So at the end of the day, this coupon code will expire. So if you want to join us today, you can use the code FLASH20. Here's the cool thing about this code. Well, it expires today, but you can use it on any program package, including payment plans. So you can use FLASH20 until the end of today Thursday, May 30th, use Flash 20 until today on any program package, including payment plans. All right, give me a go time if you guys are ready for our giveaway. So Carrie, I'm pretty sure you have someone geared up for the giveaway. I'm gonna show that in just a second, or I'm gonna type that person's name into the chat in just a second. Really quickly, let me jump back to my slides. The total value of everything that I mentioned inside the Academy is worth more than 1,367. However, we have our summer flash offer happening. Here's our core package, here's our pro package, and here's our VIP mastery package. Well, if you decide to join us today and you use the special coupon code FLASH20, notice the amazing savings on each program. We've never done a 20% off coupon code before, but we are doing that for the fast action takers for today. And chances are, if you enroll today, you'll probably be one of the first 10, so you'll also get that complimentary kickoff session. Now, if you're like, okay, Heather, I got to square my funds away and I got to think about this, that's okay too. After today, we are still having a coupon code. This time it's going to be for 10%. So you can use the coupon code after today. You can use the coupon code SAVE10 after today. And that will still save you 10%. So the savings is still incredible if you use the coupon code SAVE10 before Monday. Now on Monday, June 3rd, we have our wrap-up session. We're going to be answering questions that might not have been answered today. I'm going to be doing a recap of everything that we learned in the Job Search Mastery mini-series. Plus, I'm also going to be doing resume and LinkedIn profile reviews. So that's still happening on Monday. And we have our Amazon gift card giveaway, right? So you'll definitely want to join us for Monday. But that's when the entire offer, summer flash offer for the Academy will end. So if you want to join us inside the Academy, go to heatheraustin.online/academy. I also have the link placed in the chat box inside the window. You'll be able to go in through a secure checkout system where you can use PayPal or you can use a credit card if you want. Now, I have many more success stories with you that I would love to share. But before I do that, I want to get to a winner so that you guys can move forward with what your decision is. So let's go ahead and do a winner. Carrie, let me see who we have on board for our winner. Oh, awesome. Good. I'm gonna pop the name into the chat. Carrie, thank you so much for being here. I know there's a lot of questions that came in, and we're going to do our best on Monday to answer those questions as well. So if your question didn't get answered today, join us on Monday, and we'll be here as well. Okay, Kevin Ruiz is our winner for today. So Kevin, hopefully you're here, and he needs to be here. If he's not here, we are going to go ahead and we are going to award the winner to someone else. So hopefully, Kevin, you're still here. Yes, good. And I do have a couple more success stories with you. Let me pop up here really quickly. Just a couple success stories. Now, you guys heard Scott, you heard Daniela. Oh, there's so many amazing folks that have joined us inside of the Academy. Kenya is one of our Academy members from a while back. She actually was laid off. Her whole department was eliminated, right? She said she jumped into the Academy. She actually was like, what's the Academy? I decided to join. She said, after following your step-by-step guidance in our resume course, she began sending out her resume to different agencies and employers. She said, immediately I began receiving calls for interviews. She goes on to say, however, I wasn't getting my call backs with an offer. So then she's like, oh yeah, Heather has an interview course. I better jump into that interview course. Learned everything she said she could. Before I knew it, I was getting second callbacks and third callbacks. She said, I'm excited to announce I received an offer 5 days after my third interview. This is what, and I don't even have this part highlighted, which I need to. She said, I will be doing something I'm passionate about, and I was blessed to receive a huge increase in salary. I just want to take the time to say thank you for your teaching and step-by-step guidance. I know God had me come across your website on purpose, and I'm grateful and thankful for the connection. I love stories like this, you guys, and we get these so often. This is Scott. This is his original message. I'm not even going to go into Scott because you guys met him already. I love Scott, and the thing I love about Scott is he keeps me posted. He'll be like, Heather, this happened. This other thing happened. Miranda sent in a message and said, I got the job. After joining the program, I found it so invaluable. I will say by changing my CV in September, I have interviewed every week until this week. She talks about changing her cover letter. She talks about her interview, prepping for the interview. She said that the interview course actually became her Bible for prepping for the interview. She said, I watched the interview section of the program weekly to help me to be succinct in my answers. It too became part of my Bible. I love it. And then Lisa, I need to bring Lisa back on. She actually received and accepted an offer for a new position in one day. She says, I'm thrilled. I applied last Monday. I got the call and an offer on Friday. And she goes on to say, it's totally amazing because although I didn't have my resume finished, she didn't even finish her resume. She had just worked on the top part of her resume, sent it in, got a call and got an interview and a job offer all in the same day. I love Lisa. She's amazing. I believe her video might even be on the enrollment page. So again, if you guys, let me pop in one more page for Monday's show. Where are all my pages? I have them all mixed up now. Well, let me do this first, and then we're gonna take a couple minutes to answer some questions. Can you guys give Carrie a big, huge thank you in the chat? I tried to slow the chat down because it's hard to keep up with all the questions. But can you guys give her a big, huge thank you in the chat for being here and answering as many questions as she could? I know there's a lot of you from all over, and we have a lot of different questions come up, and she's amazing. And thank you guys for being here as well. So let me show you this, and I'm going to pop this off so you can see the entire page. So if you have not yet saved your spot for the LinkedIn and resume review show on Monday, you can go to heatheraustin.online/review. That's going to take you to this page that you see right here. What you'll do is you'll scroll down the page and you'll actually be able to see, let me scroll down the page here. You'll be able to click on yes, review my resume and my LinkedIn profile, enter your name and your email, and you'll get access to the instructions on how to submit everything. So make sure you do that before Monday. We are going to be taking the weekend to pick winners for Monday's show. So if you have not yet gotten your information in, if you've already done that, and if you have officially saved your spot for the mini series, you won't need to enter your name again. Awesome. Okay, if you guys have any last minute questions, what I want you to do really quickly, type question in the chat so that it will pop up and highlight on my end. And I will go through and spend a couple minutes answering some questions for you guys. So type question in the chat. And Carrie, let me see what we got going on here in our questions doc. Let's see. Yes, Richard had made a comment earlier about with situational, they're trying to find out how you think. Behavioral, they're looking at your accomplishments. I actually look at situational and behavioral as the same, where they're trying to determine what has your past performance been, or what activities have you done in the past that support that you can do the same for our company, right? I think it's in those questions. They're ones you gotta nail down before your interview, right? Okay, Nicole asked a really good question. If you buy the core package, can you upgrade to pro or mastery? You definitely can upgrade. You can get in. The core package does include the online content only, right? So that's an option. I do get people that are like, hey, I don't need all the one-on-ones or the group coaching or the community and things like that. And that's totally fine. It's totally based on personality. This is only the second time we've ever broken up the academy this way, where we've offered different packages because we know that people are at different investment points. We know that people are at just different levels and on the timeline with their job search. So that is available. If you jump into core and later on you're like, Heather, I really could use that one-on-one coaching session, or I really could use a career portfolio audit, then you'll need to email us at heather@professораustin.com, and then we will do what we need to get you into that. Awesome. Kevin is here. Yay, Kevin. Love it. Who do I need to contact to accept the scholarship? Send me an email at heather@professораustin.com. In fact, our winners from yesterday, we were so slammed with emails yesterday. And so I woke up this morning, I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to send them their Amazon gift cards. So right before the live show today, and let me know if you guys are still here, the winners from yesterday, I'm like getting in and furiously typing to get them the message, to get them their gift card. So you guys should have those in your inbox if you haven't checked that already. Awesome. I love it. CSR Birch says, just registered with the master. I love it. We are so excited to have you. Yes. Okay. Lou, is it Luz? I think is how you say your name. Interested to join just to boost my LinkedIn profile. Is there an option? We do have our LinkedIn profile course. In fact, all of the courses that I showed you, let me take you back to the page. We do have most of those. We do have an option to enroll just in the course. We haven't really been promoting just the separate courses because what we find is that folks will jump in and they'll say, hey, Heather, okay, I'm now on to my interview. I need to jump into your interview course. So you do have the option to invest in any of these courses on their own. If you want to do that and that's something that you're thinking about, send me an email at heather@professораustin.com. Let us know you were here today and then what program you're interested in, and then I can send you the link. That's a really good question. Love it. Okay, I'm going to see if there's any others that I can. Yes, Carolyn says, thank you, Carrie, for all your help. How do you keep up with all of us? How you keep up with us, all of us, is mind-boggling. And I'm going to figure out how to slow the chat, hopefully for Monday. Yes, and we love it. We love doing what we do. All that. It's so fun, and I love interacting with you guys. I mean, if you guys know my story, I kind of shared a little bit on Tuesday, but I came from the college campus teaching. I mean, I've been in front of classrooms for so many years, and I love it. I love that face-to-face interaction. I love being able to see people in my college classes, right? But one of the reasons why I broke off from that is because there were like 20, 30, 50 students, and I'm like, I could be teaching like thousands of people these concepts on YouTube, right? So that's why I transitioned from being a university professor now into an entrepreneur. Teaching is my passion. It's my superpower. I love it so much. I could do it all day long. And I could show up here with you guys all day long, right? Well, not really, because I've got a family to take care of, but I'm just glad that I can be here and show you guys some of the latest strategies that we are implementing and using for our clients and our members. Yes. Okay, Kevin, I think I got your question answered. Good. Carrie, I'm going to just scroll up really quick and see if there's anything else we can address. This is amazing. Congratulations. Thanks, Victoria. Oh, awesome. Andre had asked, how does the additional payment options work? So when you go to, let me pop up my screen here really quick again. When you go to the enrollment page, again, if you go to heatheraustin.online/academy, that's the short link to this page that you see here. You can click on any of the buttons. I'll show you what's going to happen. Let me find one of the buttons on the page. It's going to take you to the payment plan and the different packages. So, well, you have to actually click on the payment plan or the package you want, and then that's going to allow you to do a payment plan. So let me just give you an example of, let's say you want to join us inside of World Class Career Academy, the VIP Mastery package. So you're going to choose the best package that works for you. Notice I'm showing you the investment option here. That is the flash offer. But remember, we have our 20% savings until today. If you need a little bit of more time to decide if the program's the right fit for you, or if you need, you just got to get your funds in order. We still do have that 10% coupon after today. So until Monday, you can still do that 10% coupon. So when I go into the enrollment page, I'm going to click on the Enroll Now button. Let me make sure you guys can see that. Yep. And then you'll click on Enroll Now. That's going to take you to the actual checkout page. You're going to enter your contact information, so on and so forth. This is where the payment options are. You can select the full pay, which again, when you pay in full, you do have the option to do the kickoff call, which those kickoff calls are actually one of my favorite things, right? Because it's going to really help us set you straight on what you should start on, where you should be now, so that you're not getting confused with where should I go? Like what's my first step, Heather? That's really what those kickoff calls are for. Or you can select the payment plan. Now, if you do either way, the coupon codes that we have work for each option, right? So either payment plan or pay in full. So I would do something like Flash 20. I don't even think you have to capitalize it either. And I click on Apply Code. And then you'll scroll down and you'll notice you can either do PayPal or you can do your credit card. And then notice that it's popping in the savings for you. Wait, can you guys see that? Let me scroll up just a little bit more. Yeah, you can see that it's popping in the savings for you. So from the enrollment page, you need to click on the package that you want. And then from the package that you want, you can either select your pay in full package or payment plan, and you can still use that code. If you do select a payment plan, the code is applied for each month. Right? So it's not going to take it off right at the front. It's going to be applied for each month. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. For those that are still here, I would love to know, I know I asked you guys this earlier, but what your biggest takeaway has been from the entire workshop. We've covered a lot over the last couple of days. We covered job search, targeting, and networking on day 1. On day 2, we covered resume, LinkedIn profile, cover letter. Today we covered interview strategies and salary negotiation. Which day would you say has been the most impactful for you? And what concept resonated the most with you? I would love to know. I'm always just curious to know because we change. We don't have plans to do this presentation again in the future. I mean, hopefully we will, but it won't be probably until the fall. Maybe even like November. Jennifer says, thank you, Carrie. You are a rock star. Yes, she is a rock star. And if she wasn't here, we wouldn't be here today either. So we're so glad to have you here, Carrie. Yes. And she's also popping in reminders and all that good stuff for you. Awesome. Good. So type into the chat while I take just a couple more minutes to answer a few more questions, type into the chat what your biggest takeaway from the entire session was, or like what topic really resonated with you the most. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to go up to an earlier, someone had asked a question earlier about a question, why did I leave my job? And said that I told them it was freelance and summer gigs. So the company let me go, but they still asked me. And I said it was a mutual agreement. Was this a good response? So this is I'm so glad you asked this. So what this person's asking, let me see if I can pop the question onto the window for you guys to see. Where is it? Now I can't see my comments. I have so many different windows. Let me see if I can pop this question. Yes, and if you guys have not yet saved your spot for Monday's show, make sure you do that. Let me just address this really quick. So this person had asked, I was in a job interview. They said, why did you leave your last job? The person had responded with something like, I was doing freelance and summer gigs because the company let me go and it was a mutual agreement. So I'm not a big fan of mentioning anything about the company letting you go. I feel like that's a conversation, like they don't necessarily need to know that unless it gets deeper into the conversation, and you have to be very aware of, are they doing employment checks, or which a lot of companies, privacy is a big thing. Some companies won't even check to see or call HR and say, was this person let go? Or, like that to me, I think is a violation of privacy. I don't even think you need to respond with anything about being let go. Instead, I would respond with, I like that you're doing this freelance and the summer gig. It could be something like, you could say we had a mutual agreement, but I would rather you focus on talking about freelance and that summer, like that you were looking for other opportunities, right? Like why do we have to even mention that there was some mutual agreement about you being let go or that you left? Like, no, like let's just focus on that you were looking for new career opportunities, and these opportunities included X, Y, and Z. Here's what you've been doing during that time. There's a lot of reasons why, a lot of things you could say, but I don't think I would focus on the layoff unless, and maybe deeper into the interview, but I still don't think I'd focus on that. I would just focus on the value you bring, what you're going to offer them, your experiences, your expertise, your talents, and then go from there. Hopefully that makes sense. Good. I love it. Let me see where you guys are with your... Yes, Victoria says, it was all super impactful, but the interviewing is what I struggle with the most, along with having confidence in myself and abilities. I love that. Thanks for sharing that, Victoria. Bob said, day 2 gave very good information. They all did, but that day made me rethink how I need to update that I currently had on my resume and LinkedIn. Yes, day 2 was really impactful. I love it, Tim. And Tim actually responded to my email. I asked you guys, what was your biggest takeaway? The employer video really resonated with me. In fact, I had another TikTok video. So the employer video from yesterday, if you guys remember, that was powerful. I had another TikTok video I wanted to share with you. I forgot to share that. I'll share that one on Monday. And it actually relates to the interview process and what a lot of candidates are going through right now. Paul says, need to target CV and cover letter. I love that. Brittany says, interviewing. So good, Brittany. Georgia says, the interview tips. Love it. Carolyn says, OMG, all of it has been so very helpful. Day 1 was probably the best because I was so green. Not so green anymore. Good, Carolyn. I'm so glad that you say that. Day 1 and 2, upward and onward says interviewing. Yep, good, you guys. Well, join us back here on Monday. If we did not get your question answered, join us on Monday for our recap session. Plus, we have more amazing gift cards to give away. We're going to be doing LinkedIn and profile reviews. And Monday is the expiration date, so the end of our flash offer for World Class Career Academy. Now, we have lots of other bonuses happening. If you join us today, use the code FLASH20. That's going to apply 20%, a 20% savings on your academy, whichever package or payment plan you choose. The Save 10 code, that's also good until Monday. So if you need a little bit more time deciding, if you have any questions about the program, just send me an email at heather@professораustin.com. If I have time, I would actually be open potentially to, if you needed to just troubleshoot through email and say, hey, help me with this, I have questions about that. Let me know and we will help clear up any thoughts that you have. I was going to say I could maybe even do like some quick Zoom sessions, but what I think I'll do instead is I can do like a voice back and forth with you. I don't know but if that was an option and you wanted to do that, we could do that as well. If you're like, Heather, I need to get you on a Zoom call, I need to ask you these questions, then I would be open to that. We'd have to find a time that works and then we can go from there. So Heather@Professor Austin, if you have any questions. For those that have joined us in the Academy, I am so happy to have you. You should get access to your online library today. You'll get a welcome email today. All that stuff will happen today. You'll also get, depending on what package you get, you'll get additional emails for scheduling your 30-minute session, scheduling your one-on-one session, scheduling your career portfolio audit. You'll get emails about all that. So, let me know if you guys have questions, and thank you so much for being here. I love you guys truly from the bottom of my heart. I love being here. I love being able to present with you, and I'll see you on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Please take some time to catch up on the replays if you have not yet done so, and I will see you guys on Monday. Thanks, everyone.